Well, hello, people. How are you going? Festival time is here. It's all about festivities. People are getting all ready. So I thought, let's juice it up a little and get a little festive. So if you're tuning in for the first time, I'm Sebastian One, the Almost Naked CEO and your intention strategist. I'm here because I care, because I give a damn to build each other up using creativity, engagement, and leadership so that you can dream big and make it happen intentionally. This is Unleashed Leaders of Change, Season 5 finale, last episode for this year, and we have perfect guest for this episode. Mindset is such a huge thing. What you do in your life, what you don't do in your life, what is driving you, what is stopping you, it all depends on your mindset. And I can tell you this, within last week, something shifted more in my mindset. I believe in one thing, that is learning. I Anyone who can make me a better person within the last 1 year, within last 1 month, within last 1 day, within the last minute is a mentor for me, is a teacher for me. Somebody recently said, how many mentors do you need? Well, as many as can walk into my life and teach me something new. I don't care if you're a qualified coach. I don't care if you're walking on the street. You know what? Some of my mentors have been homeless people. I have learned a lot from that. And that's what it is. Mind shift. It's about mindset. How do you learn? How open you are to learning things, how willing you are to look beyond your own obstacles within the mind and moving forward to what your true potential is. And that's exactly what my guest today is going to show you and talk about how shifting your mindset, how changing from I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if I'm good enough for this, will people look at me wrong, will I do it wrong, change that mindset into an abundance mindset while creating your content. And we'll talk about how my guest actually got to that place and everything else. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our guest, Monica Miller. Hey Monica, how you going?
Hi, I am good.
Excellent.
Thanks
So,
for having me
Monica,
on.
I don't do any reading of bios and everything. I don't care for that. So, why don't you introduce yourself to people and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So my name is Monica Miller. I have my own business called Monica Writes. I am the author and international speaker and writer. And I also run the Six Figure Woman Mastermind, where I help women own their worth, charge what they're worth, and create epic content and marketing strategies so that they can go forth and become queens of their empires.
I love that. So, that's the business part. Let me just ask you, who was Monica Miller growing up as a child? What was your childhood like? What has your life been until now?
Okay. So when I was a little girl, I'm just going to go ahead and call out the pink elephant in the room. When I was a little girl, I actually had a speech impediment. So if you felt like there was a British accent, then I love you. You didn't? Maybe not so much. Um, so I had a speech impediment when I was a little girl, and I talked really fast. And that is, at 5, 6, and 7 years old, you're not going to slow down for anybody because you're like, keep up with me, people. That's how you worked because my entire family could understand me. Why can't you? And I just remember people asking my sister, like, what did she say? Or they asked me to repeat it or whatever. And I just remember, as if any of you are parents, you know how impatient children are. And I just remember, it's like kind of like people keep up with me. And so I had to go through some speech therapy I couldn't pronounce certain words or certain sounds like a lot of people could, because I was late in developmenting my speech. Now, my parents never, I don't know, they never actually did it. Like what they, I guess their mindset around it was like, she'll figure it out. But one of the things that I want to bring up, and this is something that I hope will just help all of us today to remember that our words and our voices matter, and we should never keep our voices silent. Okay, so we were somewhere, I don't know where, when I was little, and so I'm the middle child, and my younger brother has autism, and so my older sister was like the normal one, and then I had speech problems, and then my brother had autism. So of course you could probably understand how overwhelmed my parents were. And we were somewhere, and I think they said she was like, teenager, maybe, young adult years. She heard me talking, and she told my parents, like, oh yeah, I used to talk just like that when I was little, and now I talk fine. I'm fine now. And that gave my parents such relief and encouragement. And it was a really cool story, because one person, instead of thinking to themselves, oh, I used to talk like that, and go on with their merry way, she actually told my parents and gave my parents hope that one day this thing that was going on wasn't going to keep me from living life. And it hasn't, as you probably will know, because now I'm on here, and I'm an international speaker, author, writer. It hasn't shut me up, is what I'm trying to say. It didn't shut me up. Because I remember somebody asked me once, like, well, Monica, you could have looked at it as a disability. And I was just like, what? But that never really occurred to me. So anyways, okay. So then I was actually homeschooled, and I love being homeschooled. We joined homeschool groups. We were like highly involved in our church, highly involved in other areas in our lives, because my mom is an extrovert, so she got us out. We did dance, we did bowling, we did all kinds of stuff. And, I loved it. And so I went and got after I graduated from 12th grade, I went into college and got my communications degree, which I don't use, by the way, because as you know, entrepreneurship does not, entrepreneurship in college do not mix.
I have degrees in things that I have nothing to do with anymore.
Communications degree, which I don't use. So there's a lag, I think. Let me close out some more windows.
Yeah, it's all good.
Okay. And then I opened up my entrepreneur doors in 2014, and it's been an incredible journey since then.
Awesome. So, and we'll talk about that journey right now. So, from being a little hesitant, shy one, to becoming an international speaker, that obviously is quite a journey. And you're actually, you're the content queen, I would say, if that's not the wrong term. So why the six-figure mama? Where did that come from?
It was actually the name of my mastermind at first. I actually named it the Six-Figure Mama. However, I began to notice some women was not resonating. Even mothers were not resonating with that. So we named it to the Six-Figure Woman. However, the Six-Figure Mama is still a good brand. And now that we're talking about it, I'm like, I should rebrand myself to that. But anyways, what it's all about is, here's the thing. Many of us, when I was young, 12 years old, I knew I was going to own my own business. I didn't know it was going to be like this, but I knew I was going to own my own something, because I wasn't going to work for somebody else. I was going to work for me. And the number one thing was, I want to live life on my terms, and I want to raise my children, my future children, on my terms too, because homeschooling gives you that leeway to raise children on your terms. And I wanted that for my future. And so even at 12, I was thinking about these, my future children. I have a almost 4-year-old, and I'm pregnant with our second son now. So, I was thinking about them at 12. And so with that being said, the more I grew in my entrepreneurship and now being a business coach, one of the things that I really just want to bring to the world is to help more women speak up and speak out and be in their power, because I feel like we'll just get into this point where we need men. Yes, we do. Yes, because I have a husband and I love him to death. And I'm raising 2 boys, I'm about to raise a second boy. But we need the women to show up too, just as powerfully. And not enough women, not enough mamas are doing that. And we, as mamas, we spend 70% of the war's money right now. I think it's like the war's money or whatever, why we spend 70% of it, because we are we go out and buy the groceries. We probably go out and buy our kids' clothes because, no offense, but will my husband do that? Yeah, but he doesn't think like a woman because he's not one, right? And that's okay. Perfectly okay. That's why he married me. But it's just one of the things I really want to see more of is more women stepping out into their power, claiming their authority, and making the money, because we are now investing into a future that our children is going to play a big part of. And it is up to us women, to begin creating that future. So that's why I really wanted to solidify that 6-figure mama, because I'm just like, we are out here to change our future, because our children literally right now, in my opinion, depend on it. And if we don't do it, who will?
Absolutely. Well, High Tech Mother agrees with you. She says, I love that. Help more women speak up. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I think, you're right there. Even if we don't look at gender, if we just look at the traits, women by default are more compassionate, more focused, more, as you say, women can multitask better and everything. So all that is there. And of course, at the end of the day, we know that history has been patriarchy, suppressing women. So this is the time for women to speak up. And I love how it's changing the world. And I wish more and more women were in politics as well. I hope one day they will be. Because that's the change we need. That's the major change we need right now.
And right now we are leaders, as women and men, it doesn't matter. Like you said, gender aside, we are leaders. We are leaders in this world. And as mothers and fathers, we are responsible for being a leader to our children so they can grow up and be better leaders, or just as, better, hopefully better leaders, but also, maybe just as good leaders as us right now. And the reason I chose content was one, when I was little, no one could question my pronunciation or my enunciation, right? So I loved writing. And then I find that content is a great way for women and men to start communicating their value and start communicating how they can help others in a big way. And, it's not like video, especially if some women don't want to do video yet. I always encourage my women to do it, but they don't do it now. Then it's like, okay, let's start with some content, because that's the strongest and best way to communicate your value, your leadership, and your worth is through your content. And content can change the world. Content can change someone's life. You and me were just talking about how my audio, my voice message helped shift something in you.
Absolutely. 100% agree. Dr. Patty Talbot says, right, if we don't do it, who will? Message absolutely resonates. And that is the thing. One thing I want to address here as well, you don't need to, this episode is all about you. And I love the message you have. I love how you're focused on empowering women. So even in that process, I want to mention one of my friends, Cindy Constable, in her TED talk, she did say, to empower women, we don't need to disempower men. It is about bringing all people to the table equally, not removing one and getting another. So even for apologizing for not mentioning men or anything, all that needs to stop, because all we're doing is really bringing everybody on the same table, period. Right? And for that, yes, women need to be emboldened. They need to speak out more, and I love your message. Now here's one thing that comes to my mind. Lots of women struggle with, they have hesitations, they have fears when it comes to content development, and that is something you actually address a lot about. They're scared to do that. But hold that thought, we're going to come back in a second and we'll discuss that right after the break. And here we are. So, guys, if you're tuning in right now, this is Unleashed Leaders of Change season finale for season 5. And with me is the content queen, is the six-figure mama, six-figure woman, Monica Miller. And it's all about content. How can you change things? How can you change life? How you can change business and create content with abundance in your mind. So, that's what we were talking about, that hesitation, the figure women have. Oh, well, can I do it? What if I do this wrong? First thing that my mind talks about is, when you're working with all these women, what's the first thing that they come up with? Oh, this is why I can't post. This is why I'm scared to post. What are some of the fears or hesitations they have in creating and posting content?
Yeah. So a lot of it is fear of rejection. What if I don't do it right? If it's not good enough, then I can't post it. It's like, if it's not perfect, I can't post it. What is consistency? There's like a few. If you're listening to this, let me know what has been your feel. So let me know that in the comments. What has been your feel of showing up? And it's really, I feel like women have been taught, maybe it's not intentionally, but I feel like women have been taught to, like, almost like that whole saying, like, what is it? Be seen, like you could be seen but not heard type of mentality. Like, it's okay,
Right.
like, you need to be seen, but you need to be seen in this way. If you're not this way, then you can't show up. We have a lot of fears around that, and I think women are more people pleasers, and we want to be well liked, which is natural. We all want to be liked, and that fear of what if stops us.
Right.
And I can say more to this. You want me to continue talking?
Oh, absolutely. I want to just
Okay.
take this comment from Dr. Patty Talbot. She's saying, what a great conversation. Women and all others willing to embrace their feminine power. It isn't as much about gender as the ability to rein in the stereotypical masculine and express the feminine energies. I think, she's responding to the earlier conversation we had. And she's sharing, I fear being repetitive and accused of a one-track mind. That is so common, because I just want to add to that. A lot of people don't post because, like, I already posted that. People are gonna think I keep posting the same thing over and
Yeah.
over. I'm gonna exhaust them, or people are gonna get annoyed. That is actually so common, and it's not it's not just gender. Trust me. So many people don't post their good message because they just think, oh, I might annoy people. And it takes me back to the same thing, being people pleaser. We don't want to do anything that displeases people. So how do you tackle that?
Yeah. First of all, with the people who, who are saying, I'm too one track minded, or what if they, I just posted this, or everyone's talking about it. You know, what makes me different is, one, you are different because no one can tell it the way you can. And, you know, even if 100 people are saying the same thing, one person may not resonate with these 100 people, but they will resonate with you because they're not speaking the same language. Maybe you have a different energy that this person needs from you because your energy is somewhere else, and that person is into your energy. Like, I'm not the only one talking about what I'm talking about right now. I'm not the only one. However, I know I'm the only one saying it the only way I can, and the only way that I get to show up, because I'm me. I'm Monica. I'm not, you know, Sebastian. I'm not Susie Q down the street. I'm
Absolutely.
I'm a unique person, and I get to show up uniquely me. And you have to remember that it takes, what is it, 7 to 20? Like, you have to say the same message 7 to 20 times just for a person to be like, oh, is that what she does?
Right. And still so many people don't recognize until they need something. And I agree with you so much, because here's one thing. Even to get on these shows, some people ask me, so how many viewers do you have? I always answer zero. If you're coming in for how many viewers do I have, I am not interested. If you're coming in to give your content, to get your message out there, I'm interested, because for me, if one person is watching this, if one person's mind shifts, if one person's life is better from a message that I have been working on for years, that's worth million views. That's worth millions of dollars, because for me, I just changed a life by just doing myself, just doing me, and sharing the content that I can offer to the world. So I love that. Dr. Patty says, I love that. Thank you. And she adds, wow, I need to remember that. So we're talking about posting anyway, 20 times or 10 doesn't matter. The biggest thing, Monica, that comes to my mind is, maybe the first 19 times the right person didn't see it, and maybe it's the 20th time the person who needed to see it, the person who needed that support, is like, oh my God, that's what I was looking for. So it's worth posting again and again and again, right?
Yeah, and the market changes. You may change. Maybe your wording will change. You may be tweaking it. I mean, you don't know. Like, we don't know. We change all the time, right? As human beings, we change, like,
Absolutely.
all the time. So,
Hey, you just changed me last week.
I know, right? And so it's really, like, you just have to think, like, we are changing, and, you know, just like Sebastian just said, I mean, if you're changing, and what if, like, you said a word that you wasn't using, like a month ago, but you're using now a word that resonated with somebody who desperately needed to hear your message right then and there. Like, you don't know. And, like, for example, I was sharing something with Sebastian earlier, I think last week, and just by me just replying, being me, he had a shift. And then whenever he shared it with me, I was just like, that is a good shift. And it kind of like, oh yeah, that's a good point. So so you can see how it was like a domino effect. So you don't know.
Absolutely.
And you know how many people are watching you right now? I have so many people telling me, like, I've seen you. I've seen how your content is changing. I've seen how powerful you become, and I'm cheering for you. Like, I had that comment today from a girl who's been following me for maybe a couple months now. So it's just that you don't know. I mean, she may or may not ever become a client. I don't know. But you never, ever know what and how you show up is going to change someone else's life. And I would say, if you have fear of rejection or fear of, like, oh, it's not perfect enough, I would say go back to your vision. Go back to your vision of, like, why you started your business. Why is your message needed in this world? And begin asking yourself, okay, this is my vision. My vision is to, work with 500 women in the next, like, 3 years or whatever, to change their lives in XYZ in your industry, right? I want to do that. Okay, then you need to be asking yourself, get to that feeling, feel it, like, oh, what would that be like? What would these women be saying? What would their lives be like after working with me and after they go out and change the world? And just begin thinking about all that, get excited, and then ask yourself, then why am I not showing up? Because if you can see the vision of your clients and the women or the men you're going to work with and the change that they can make in their lives, then there is no way in hell that you can, just sit there and not say anything. And if you need help, of course, like, okay, well, I'm ready, but how do I, get what's in here out into the world? I mean, yeah, let's talk and let's see if there's a way to.
How do you get started?
Yeah, get this out into the world in a way that your clients are going to see it and want to work with you.
Absolutely. Pamela Milliken says, I love that idea. She's watching right now from Australia. And High Tech Mother says, can any woman be one? The six-figure mama, I think she is talking about. So can any woman be an entrepreneur, can be successful? That's a great question.
Yeah, so here's a couple of components that you'll need to become successful. Is one, you have to be committed. When I say committed, I mean committed. It's not easy to be an entrepreneur some days. Like, Szebastian, I mean, we probably talked about this probably plenty of times. It's not.
You've done this for over a year now.
I mean, it's not easy to be an entrepreneur. You have to be committed. You have to be committed to your vision. You have to be committed to who you're going to serve. You have to be committed. And you have to realize it's a journey. So there's trust, so commitment, and then trust. Trust in not only yourself, but trust that everything is going to work out the way it's supposed to work out. And here's another third thing. This is something as women, and I know everybody struggles with it. But the third thing, I believe, is self-judgment. You have to let go of self-judgment, because self-judgment is a very thing that keeps a lot of the women I've been talking to back. They had, because they're judging themselves. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. Oh, she does it better, or he does it better, or whatever. And they lose that confidence in themselves.
See, your message is so aligned. Dr. Patty, just before you said that, actually literally wrote that this is such an important message for those of us who sometimes suffer from the imposter syndrome. It is one of the most talked about syndromes, because everybody's like, maybe I'm a fraud, maybe I'm not good enough. And, what you're saying is exactly needs, counters that you just got to do it. And that's all. And I love that Pamela agrees with you, committed versus interested, and committed to your why. I love that.
Yeah.
So what does it take to be committed as a woman? Bigger question here is, you're a mother and you're going to be a second-time mother. So a lot of women just give up because, but I'm having a baby, but I have, I have to look after my family. The big real question is, can any woman, pregnant or not, mother or not, single or not, become a six-figure mama? And how do they commit themselves to do that?
Yeah. Here's who the women I like to work with, okay? I love working with women who are committed to their vision and committed to making it work no matter what. And what fuels them is their children, because they want to give their children a better life. They want to give their children things that maybe they didn't have while they were growing up. Maybe they want to give their children, maybe they want to travel with their children and show them different cultures, or take them on special vacations where they can build memories. So a lot of my clients come to me wondering, I want more time freedom. I want to have more time with my children. I'm about to have a baby. So for those of you who are watching live right now, I am almost 35 weeks. He'll be due in January of 2022. And so as I never ever have seen my children, or now children, as a barrier to my dreams. If anything, I would see my children as like, I want to show them what they could accomplish. Like my husband works a job, And that's perfect for him. But I wanted to show them there's other ways. There's other ways. And I'm fulfilling my dream, and you can too, whatever that looks like for you. I don't care what you do, just as long as you follow your dream and you love it and you're just like on fire for it. So to me, like a lot of the women I work with, they're in that space of I want to show my children that there's another way, that there's another way to do life. Like we don't have to work 9 to 5s. We can work anytime we want. And another reason why it's all about the 6-figure mama is because whenever you start making more money, if you position yourself right, you get the right packages, which that's something I help you with.
Right.
You begin to work less. Like whenever I began to charge more, I began to work less. Like I don't work. Work. Like I mean, work. I don't know. I only work 3 days a week.
That's another struggle people have because they think, oh, am I charging too much? They're comparing themselves to others. One of another friend, Eleni Anestis, says, people suffer with comparisonitis. They're constantly suffering with this disease. What should be my fee in comparison to this person? Charge what you are worth, not what others are. By the way, Pamela says congratulations, and Dr. Patty says exciting times. So
it is exciting.
It is.
It is.
Which is what brings to my mind. Right now, the entire world is experiencing the shift that everybody used to ridicule working from home, remote work, and 24/7 flexible work hours and all that. People used to ridicule that. And, I don't mean to criticize anybody, but hey, the entire world is working from home. Entire world is doing remote work. And the entire world is
homeschooling. Everybody made fun of homeschooling. And then now everybody had to homeschool their kids. And I'm like, joke's on you.
The only schooling we can do safely now is homeschooling. So, it's, well, I'm tempted to say, well, the joke is on you. But here's the thing. This challenge has proved that everything can work from anywhere and anyone can be an entrepreneur as long as you have the mindset for it. It's about the mindset, not about how many desks do you have, how big and lavish your office is, and how many staff you have. All of that is possible. So one thing that comes to my mind is clarity and consistency. When it comes to content, you help people with deciding the right content, creating the right content. How do people achieve the clarity that they need? Because I think the biggest challenge people have is, what do I post? People sit there, start writing, and they're like, what do I post? And they don't have a clear strategy. So how do they achieve that clarity?
So this is my specialty. I was laughing because I'm just like, oh, yes, I hear this all the time. Even from my current clients. I don't know what to post. And I'm like, that's why we're working together. Excuse me. So one of the ways I bring things to the table is because I know it's hard for you to post because you're in it. And that's okay. I mean, I'm in it too. And what I do is one of the ways I find, this is one of the things I love to do. Love to do this. I love listening to people. They are telling me about, their business, about who they want to work with, the benefits that these people are going to get, maybe the pain points or the struggles that their audience is in. And just from that information, I can give you 3 to 5 different posts to post so that you start getting leads. Because I've tried it, I have tested out some things and I know that it works because it's working for me and it's worked out for some of my clients too and past clients. So there's that. Another thing is because I see it. It's like a visual for me. Like content's like a visual for me. So when people start telling me, oh yeah, this is my business and this is, all this and that, then I'm like, oh, post this, see what the response is. And then this is how you would get that person on a call. And then then it's up to you to sell them and build your business.
how does a person achieve consistency with their content? Because that is one of the biggest challenges. People post one day, then they don't for 10 days, or they're posting one thing at one time, and then the second message has no relevance to what they do. How does one bring consistency into their content?
Yeah. So having a content calendar or having some type of system in place where you know what you're going to say. It depends on what kind of person you are. Like I'm a more creative, so I know I can just kind of wing it because that's who I am. But if you're a person who you're like struggle with consistency, because I don't, and that's Sebastian knows. Yeah. So what you need is a content calendar, a system to know when you're going to post, what you're going to post, where you're going to post, and then creating that time to go back and make sure that you're doing your follow-ups, you're commenting back, you're getting people in DMs, you're setting up calls. And I teach you all that through the Six Figure Woman Mastermind and through my private coaching on how to do that. But what I'm saying is if you need that, like if you just need someone to say, this is what you need to do, like that's what we create. Actually, like in a couple of weeks, my clients and we're going to be doing that. Well, we're going to be getting onto a Google Doc, and it's like, okay, let's come up with some content, like at least for the next 30 days. And I'm going to give you some ideas, and then you can go and manifest abundance.
Love that. One question that comes to mind is a lot of people struggle with delegating. At times you don't have the time, you don't have the resources. Is it a good idea to delegate somebody else to create content for you? And if they do, what are the things they should keep in mind? Like you're working with your clients, of course, they delegate some kind of, strategy. They come to you for help. So a lot of people struggle, have this hesitation of like, how would Monica know what I want to post? How do you overcome that objection when working with somebody creating content or strategy for you?
Yeah. All right. So here's what I would say, because I know where a lot of my clients are. One thing I always tell them is I would not advise you hiring out for someone else to do your content until you know your voice. Because you want to be so good at your voice and know what works. Because you want to start knowing what works now. So when it comes time to delegate, you could just hey, this works. This brings in clients. Here's what you do. Go and run with it. Because it still is going to sound like you, your brand, your voice, your message. It's going to be all that. And if you delegate too soon, it may cause that sense of this doesn't sound like Sue. It doesn't sound like Patty. It doesn't sound like this person, and it may not resonate, and you don't want to get into that space. And so what I do is when we listen, I do give you ideas on what to say, but it is up to you. I give you something and you get to rephrase it, reform it to your words. I can only give you so much, and then you have to just get into your personality and just ask it the way you would or share it the way you would. Of course, if you want some extra eyes to look at it before sharing it, you can. That's one of the benefits of working with me in my mastermind or in a private container is that you actually will get that hey, I want to post this. How does this sound? And I'll give you my feedback.
And that's it. People, I think number one, hesitation needs to go, but also it's important that, as you said, you need to be clear with your message, delegate when it's the right time. And it is teamwork. Even if you delegate, even if you're working with somebody else, whether you're working, whether they are creating and posting content for you, whether they're just giving you strategies, however you're working, it needs to be teamwork, because at the end of the day, it is your message. You only understand what you really want to say. Maybe they will help you articulate better. Maybe they'll give you, as you said, a content planner, a strategy, when to post, where to post, how to post. And that's where it is. I want to talk about a couple of more things, but let's just take a really quick break and we'll come back and talk more on content strategies. Guys, if you're tuning in just right now, this is Unleashed Leaders of Change, season finale of season 5. And with me is excellent guest Monica Miller. She's the content queen, the six-figure mama, and so much more. She's just incredible. And we're talking about content, abundance through content. And Monica, I have a couple of questions for you when it comes to, fears people have related to content. Before that, I want to take a comment that I have from Dr. Patty. She says, yes, sounding like me was a big hurdle at first with VAs I worked with. For people who don't know, that's virtual assistants. Once we had a relationship where I knew I wasn't hurting their feelings with corrections, it got much better. And that's it. Once you have that sync, that alignment, and you might even have to shop for multiple people before you find it's like having a therapist. So they need to understand your language. You need to understand their language mentally to be able to create that content. So I have a few questions for you. Fears that stop people, especially women. By default, women don't like to sell as much as men do, and maybe I may be wrong. You can correct me if I'm not, but women are not all about selling. They're about compassion. They're about warmth. They're about, building each other up. So one of the fears that I hear a lot from even my clients is, oh, am I going to sound too salesy? Am I going to sound too pushy? How do you overcome that mindset?
Yeah, I hear that too. I don't want to be salesy, pushy, slimy, or whatever. And here's what I say is when you are in a sales conversation, you need to have to come from the mindset of service. What you have to offer is a service. And if you're not servicing that person, are you even servicing them? Are you really, because if we allow this person to just get off, are we not holding them to their fullest potential? And so we have to just, forget about the whole I'm being pushy or whatnot. What if you could just come into the sales call or the sales space as I'm serving this person? I want to give them value, and I'm going to ask them questions because I'm seeing where they're at and where they want to be. And the boat ride to get there, is, your service, and they need me. And whether or not they hire me, that's irrelevant, but it's all about like getting them to that point where they can start seeing their own greatness.
And that's it. You're coming from a point of service. You're coming to make their life better. So, and they will experience that. They will feel that. It makes your sales easy because they're already experiencing that you care. You actually want them to be better. Another fear that comes is, oh, if I keep posting about this, am I going to annoy people? How do you overcome that mindset? Am I annoying people by posting this again and again and again?
I would probably just ask them, well, do you ever keep up with Susie Q on social media and what she posts? If the answer is no, then why would you think anyone else would keep up with you? And like I talk about the same thing all the time, but it's just in different ways.
Absolutely. Last thing that I get so often, but I don't want to sound too desperate.
I haven't gotten that in a while, but what I would say is if you're getting into that desperation energy, then it may, depending on where you're at, I would say take a break for, I don't know, it could be an hour, maybe for the rest of the day, step back. And I always say journal into like why you're becoming desperate, and then kind of go into, well, what would happen worst case scenario? Well, what would happen best case scenario? And then really tune into that best case scenario and get your mind from, because desperation comes from the worst case scenario usually. So now we just need to reshift that into the best case scenario and then start going back to your vision. What is it that lights me up. Like, oh man, if I worked with one more client like this year, if I could have worked one more client this year, what would it be like for that client? What would that be like for me? What would that do for the client? Or what would we create? What would we do? Oh, that'd be, start getting it. Like, we are lit up by our own passions. So go back to that. And then, either A, come back and be like, I'm ready, or B, take some time to self-care, do what you need to do to, show up the next day. Because there's nothing wrong with you taking that time away to reflect and to get yourself back into that mental game. And this is where it goes back to the commitment and this being in that gratitude. And, one thing I forgot to say, I'm going to bring it in this real quick.
Sure.
Being a six-figure mama means you have to start embodying being a six-figure woman, a six-figure mama, even before you hit six figures. And that takes time.
I love that.
It takes a lot of time, and it's a journey. It's not something that switches on overnight. So you have to give yourself a massive amount of grace. Stop judging yourself. And it's hard. So I just wanted to remind you all that we had to start embodying like this six-figure woman we want to be. And that comes from having our focus on our clients, having our focus on who we're going to serve, what we're going to do, what we're going to create. And it could be about your life. It could be about their life. Regardless, get excited, because more excitement, whenever you start getting excited about things, you start embodying things, I think, more easier, like this vision of like, oh, I'm going to enroll, one more client this year. I'm going to enroll 3 more clients, whatever, right? In the next month.
Is what you create. What
That's
you're thinking
right.
is what you're really creating. Okay. Well, this has been good, and we have a lot more, but we're running out of time. So I've been told to wrap up real quick. But before we wrap up, we ask 4 questions from every guest. 3 of those questions, you can choose what they will be. How that works is, give me any number between 1 to 25, and the number you select is the question that I will read out for you, and then you answer that.
Okay. So 1 to 25? 17.
Okay, let me see. What's number 17? Ooh, I love that. So what mistake you have made that you want others to be aware of, whether it's personal, business, whichever, what mistake that you want others not to make?
Self-judgment. We are all our worst critics. I mean, that's just a given, right? But
True.
The biggest I don't know, I'll call it a mistake. It's more like, it's just a mindset thing. It's just self-judgment. I'm having to learn, and I had to learn that where I'm at is brand new. Where I'm at, like, I'm doing new things. I'm not going to have it all figured out. And that's okay, because I get to learn and grow. I have my support system. So I get to go to them if I have any questions, or like, hey, help me out with this. And this is why we all need support systems. Like, I have a business coach. Actually, I have 2. So I have 2 business coaches, right? This is why I feel like we all need coaches to help with that piece.
Absolutely.
But I would say, we get stuck in self-judgment. That's where rejection, doubt, fear, that's where it all comes in, because you start judging ourselves.
That seems to be a theme, that seems to be a theme of negative to positive is, the other 2 people are watching right now, Dr. Patty and Pamela Milliken. They both also talked about, it is about mindset. It is about, in your mind, you need to be kinder to yourself. You need to learn to celebrate yourself. You need to learn to forgive yourself and move forward. And that's where the entire, it is all about the mindset. Okay, so let's move on to next question. Between 7 to 15, select one number.
9.
Okay, let's see. Number 9. Okay, if you could collaborate with just anyone, dead or alive, who would it be, why, and what would you collaborate on?
Wow. I'm like, I don't know. Dead or alive, who would I want to collaborate with? I'm going to think of someone awesome after this. The person who came to mind, which I have a quote from her on my email, is Maya Angelou. It's really funny. I don't really know much about her, but I know the quote that I have from her is it was just like, it was just talking about like, don't die with the untold story within you.
I love that.
It just reminds me that, if we collaborated, like what would we have created together? That we could have created a program together that was all about, getting your voice out into the world and in a way that feels good to not only you, but that is going to change your readers, it's going to change your audience.
Absolutely. Pamela loves that. And that is true. Maya Angelou is one of the nicest name you can ever work with. So great pick. I would be in your team if that was possible. Okay. Second last question, between 100 to 150, any number.
Wow. Let's go with 150.
15. Okay. What would you do with $2 billion if you had only 1 hour to spend it, but not on you?
Wow.
Only 2 billion. Only 2 billion.
Only 2 billion and not on me. Like, could it be for our family?
I guess so. Yeah, it's not on you, as long as it's not on you.
I get to see. Wow. I'm like, what would I do? I would definitely probably go on some like really big vacation, like and just say, oh, it's for Corbin.
You can't have it. You can't have it. Vacation.
But I can have it, so I have to watch it from like Facebook or my husband sending me pictures.
Probably.
That's fun. Okay. All right. That is a good question. I don't even know what, like, if I had $2 billion, I'd be spending 1 hour and it can't be on me. I probably would put it towards a couple of charities that I know. Like, there's one local nonprofit that is standing up for our freedom of health, and that's something that is really dear to me. There's another one. It's called the High Wire, and I follow them, and that is something that I would donate some money to. And even that name. It came to my mind. This is pregnancy right here. Came to my mind. It went away. But anyways, it's a big organization that helps with stopping and saving women from sex trafficking.
I love it.
And that's a good one.
That's great.
And then I'll probably put some money into an account for both Corbin and Anthony for the futures, whatever that looks like. And I don't know.
That is a six-figure mama, thinking right. Love it. Dr. Patty says, love Maya Angelou. I saw her at Virginia Tech near me before we lost her. Well, you know what, Dr. Patty? We will never lose her because she has literally become forever. And I think there's, for generations and generations, Maya Angelou will be in our lives in a very, unique way. Pamela Milliken says, Destiny's Rescue. Is that what you're talking about?
It's called something I can't think. It's gonna come to me afterwards. Okay, it's just that's what it is.
All right. Well, we gotta keep moving. So I just have the last question to ask, and this is not a number-based question. This is a question I ask everybody. What is your message for humanity from any perspective?
Share your voice. Really, just people need your voice right now. So desperately. We all have voices of hope, voices of change, voices of empowerment. And it could be as simple as telling a mama who's dealing with the 3-year-old who's being whiny that she's doing a good job. It could be something as simple as that. So just reminding yourself that your message doesn't have to be this big thing. It actually can be something that is simple, short, sweet, that because we need it. We need more encouragers. We need more encouragement this year going into even 2022. And you don't know how your voice is going to last in this woman or this man's life or this child's life I mean, those things that people said to me years ago, and I still hold it dear into my heart. Strangers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, words have a lot of power, and
Mhm.
right words at right time from right person can change so much. I will repeat, last week you changed something in me, and I experienced this over and again. This is one thing I enjoy about these shows. I learned so much. Every one of you is a mentor I have. Every one of you is helping me in a way. And I don't know how many more people, everybody who's listening, I don't know how many people. There's a lot of people who don't express, but they absorb and they're still learning, they're still growing. So thank you so much. But please don't go anywhere. I would love to have you back on another show. I will be right back with you. Stay in the green room. I'll catch up with you in a second. Okay, guys. So that was Monica Miller. And now talking about content, mindset, all of that makes so much sense. It is a lot about us judging ourselves, a lot of fears and hesitations within our own mind. And once you start working on that, once you start being excited about the content you're sharing, look at content as message that you want to share and you want to help other with and you want to serve people with, and everything will change. And that is one thing that I enjoyed about what I do. The content that I am creating is not just content. All these people, all these, as I said, they're all mentors to me. They're all people who are constantly encouraging me, teaching me, and I don't know how many more through these messages. Uh, you're learning every day. That is the content we are all is absorbing, we're all sharing. And if your content comes from an abundant mindset, it is changing so many more lives. And that's where the real leadership is. That's where the real change is. Thank you so much, Dr. Patty. I absolutely love having all these conversations. And Pamela, I agree. Practice the random act of kindness. Absolutely. Thank you, guys. We will see you next time. Remember, this is the last episode for this season for Unleash Leaders of Change. We will see you next year. I don't remember the date, so please bear with me. You will be posting, so you'll know. Season 6 starts next year. So if you want to be a guest, go on Dreamaniac.com and apply to be a guest right now. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Have a wonderful holiday. Have a great time. Be kind to each other. Create exciting content from an exciting mindset, as Monica Miller said. And we'll see you next time. Probably everybody playing with six figures. Until then, take care.